Great. Well, welcome everybody to the Columbus GreenSpot Conversations, a webinar series created by our very own GreenSpot Advisory Board. And we're planning many entries in this series, so check back on Facebook, or you could join GreenSpot at www.columbusgreenspot.org. You'll get our newsletter, and we give our members an advance notice of when we're going to have our GreenSpot Conversation series and what topics. So you can find out that way. We'd love to have you join. And we will be posting this up on the city's YouTube page as well as the GreenSpot website, and we'll be promoting it through social media. So today we have a conversation with one of our GreenSpot organizational members, which is Green Columbus. We have Claus Eckert, who is their executive director. Welcome, Claus. He has a strong focus on collaboration in underserved communities. He has raised over $1 million in cash and in-kind donations over the last 5 years for environmental programming here in Central Ohio. A Fisher MBA graduate from The Ohio State University, he enjoys working with kind and good people while bringing innovative green programs to Central Ohio, such as repair cafes, river cleanups, greening of vacant lots, high production tree nurseries, and the list goes on. So welcome again, Claus. We are awesome to have you here at our GreenSpot Conversations and representing Green Columbus. And I mean, it seems like you can't go anywhere without seeing Green Columbus somewhere. So for those, few people who don't know what Green Columbus is, can you tell us a little bit more about what is Green Columbus?
Well, thanks, David, for the kind introduction. I'm really honored to be here. Thanks for having me. Green Columbus is a very small nonprofit. It's volunteer-driven. It's dedicated to promoting sustainable living, environmental education, as well as community involvement. And how do we do that? We do this by providing meaningful platforms. This can be online and offline. For example, when we started offline in the real world, that was Earth Day Columbus, which started in 2007. As well as Green Drinks, an environmental focused networking event that usually happens once a month. Currently, we have pandemic, related a little bit of a hiatus. Experimented with some online green drinks events, but in addition to those, we also provide the earthdaycolumbus.org website. And we have a lot of other new, hopefully successful platforms in the pipeline here over the next year and a half. So yeah, we're looking forward to that as well.
Cool. And you kind of touched on it, but like with the pandemic going on, we've all had to kind of adjust how we operate. You mentioned like the green drinks, you had to move those online. Can you talk a little bit more about like some of the other kind of innovative ways in which you've adjusted to life during the pandemic?
Sure. So I think last year when we were in the beginning of the pandemic and we had a statewide lockdown, we had been able to use
Are you there, Claus?
off. Can you see me? Am I moving? I'm back.
Now we see you. Yes, you dropped off for a minute there, but you're back. I
apologize for that.
Yay, no worries.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is, so I start over. What we have been doing, especially last year when there was a statewide lockdown, was that we had been able to rely on our network of super volunteers as well as professionals to plant 31,000 trees. We distributed them in a non-touch way with drop-offs and pickups, and then had the super volunteers individually or with their family as nucleus plant trees, as well as professionals. It took a little longer, but we were still able to plant a then record 31,000 trees last year. Since then, the state has opened up a little bit, and we have been able to really heavily rely on volunteer events last fall. And then the spring for Earth Day Columbus. And we have been, while not being able to have a celebration, still been able to actually, through the volunteer events, been able to plant a record-setting 65,000 trees, give away 6,000 pollinator plants, with the partners, turned about 60 acres into pollinator habitat, and gave away a record amount of mulch, thanks to donation from Scott's Miracle Grow. So yeah, we aren't able to celebrate and network in close contact, but to really heavily focus on those networking events was really has allowed us over the last year, since the state opened up again, to still be able to get together in a safe and meaningful way.
That's great. And you'd mentioned trees, and trees really seem to be a cornerstone, one of the cornerstones of Green Columbus. And you're rattling off some numbers there, which, in the thousands. Do you know how many trees overall over the years that you all have planted or had volunteers plant?
Mhm. So we started in 2007 with the first Earth Day, and then the Green Columbus organization had formed with Tad Tridds and friends coming out of Clintonville, and since then we roughly planted about 180,000 trees. And when we say we always think about the community, right? We never think about Green Columbus because we barely plant any trees ourselves, and a small organization with one staff and then about 10 volunteer-driven board members, can't plant that many. But if you're part of the community, what it allows us to do is to actually raise the funds for all these trees and then really collaborate with awesome people that know what they're doing, and then plant the trees themselves or instruct others and volunteers to plant. And we have been really, really lucky to collaborate with about 50 organizations over the last 14 years, and super volunteers included in that as well.
Hmm. I was going to mention, yeah, it seems like you all are kind of a hub of volunteer activity and kind of a bringer together of different organizations that want to get involved with Earth Day. And not only like nonprofits, but also I think businesses play a role too. Can you talk a little bit about what that role is?
Sure. So Earth Day Columbus is the largest volunteer-driven service event of its kind around Earth Day in the country. And what this means for us is that there's thousands of volunteers every year that can participate. And it's at the beginning of the season in April, which allows us to, start with a lot of people fresh coming out of winter and being eager to contribute to a cleaner, healthier, greener Columbus and Central Ohio. And so we want to make it really, really easy, affordable, and accessible for everyone to participate and join Earth Day. That's where we give away all the materials and stuff. So this year we gave away $90,000 worth of materials. So whether or not you're someone who just wants to clean the neighborhood, or whether or not you have a garden to attend and want some pollinator plants, but also some mulch, some topsoil, or whether you're a larger organization that wants to do a volunteer outing, we can serve the full gamut because we have every year between 100 and 200 events throughout Central Ohio. And so we play matchmaker either with organizations, or we host an event ourselves with large organizations. So yeah, this has always been a true success story. And the nice part is that you can really try out things, right? There's not really a failure as long as it benefits. And we couldn't do this alone. We really, really heavily rely on our partnership with the city of Columbus. So not only with GreenSpot to get the word out and have people involved, but also with Keep Columbus Beautiful, who's basically our physical hub for Earth Day Columbus every year, where people are allowed to pick up tools, but also pick up the materials that we get every year. And then we just ask them to return the tools and use the materials as needed.
That's great. And like with businesses, I love how you all provide that platform where, and same with individuals, like if something is not easy, it's gonna be hard to do. And a lot of people might not go that extra mile, but if you make it easy, then it's like, well, yeah, why not do it? It's a good cause. It's like meeting new people, and it's easy to do. So like the whole tree planting thing, and the way you all have it set up, always seems to run extremely smooth.
Yeah.
The ones that I've,
And we're really fortunate that there are that many people interested in making Columbus a better place, right? Whether it's like seeing you basically at every cleanup that we're hosting, and volunteering, going out of your way on Saturdays and Sundays, or there's other people, there's even younger ones, like the environmental folks from the young leaders from the Ohio Environmental Council. There's a lot of fresh blood, but every year we see a lot of similar and familiar faces, and so we're really excited to have that broad net of people. And if someone's not familiar with volunteering, they can just join and get a taste of it. And then others, they're more seasoned, they can host their own event. And so people can grow into leadership roles, along river cleanups, but also tree plantings, etc. Especially for the tree plantings, we obviously make sure that people know what they're doing. So we have experienced and seasoned tree planters that can educate and demonstrate to others how to plant efficiently and rightfully a tree.
And that's really important. Sometimes people think a tree is a tree is a tree, and that can't be further from the truth because it's all trees are different, and it depends where you plant them, whether they're going to be successful or not. And then, watering the tree, you got to do that quite a bit to start with. But then it really does take off.
It does. And so that's why we actually start in the fall every year and invite our tree planting partners for an open conversation about availability of land, availability of, what they estimate they can bring in terms of volunteers, how many trees they want to plant. And then it's about a 3-month process where we allow people the time to actually explore and find a space where they can legally, but also with a high success rate, plant a tree. So we have partners from the city of Gahanna, the city of Columbus, Reynoldsburg, all throughout Central Ohio, basically, especially within Franklin County and Delaware County. And Preservation Parks has been our largest tree planting partner in the last 2 years, planting 60,000 trees alone in partnership with us. And they have a mechanical planter, so it's a little easier than just planting with a lot of volunteers. But yeah, we couldn't be happier to just be embedded in this big network of people that all face a similar situation and have the same goal. So we really make sure that we find the right place for the right tree. And we're happy to report that since our start, we've only planted native trees. We focus on large shade trees that are usually faster growing. The reforestation efforts throughout Central Ohio have been really taking off over the last 5 years. And we have been really blessed with a lot of great partners.
And you mentioned trees, there's so many benefits of trees. And I imagine, nice mug, by the way, nice cup there. I don't know if you can share it against their Green Columbus reusable cup. I have one and it's getting used often. But you mentioned some of the benefits of trees, right? Having that canopy. Can you talk a little bit more? And I know we're kind of in the rabbit hole, if you will, talking about trees, but your focus on trees, they have many benefits. Can you talk a little bit about some of those benefits?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, when we talk about trees, there's 2 kinds of things that we focus on. So outside of the city, outside of an urban area, we're talking about reforestation, right? So large amounts of land conversion of farmland or empty spots that have been cleaned up, or naturalized areas where we reforest. Those have actually the benefit at night, fighting urban heat island, where actually the trees surrounding a large city work as a vacuum, and through evaporation actually suck out some of the heat of the city. So that's why they're important, but they also provide wildlife, stream restoration, water quality improvements, especially if we plant along Scioto or Olentangy River, and also Elm Creek. And so that is really important from a wildlife perspective, from this evaporation perspective. But if we go into the urban areas, and we've been more focused on that in the last 5 years as well, to actually give away trees in underserved communities, especially Linden and Hilltop, but also we're been more and more engaged with folks from the South Side. We created 2 tree nurseries, one in Linden, one in the Hilltop, and we've been giving away trees that we have grown in the tree nurseries in 3-gallon containers to people that just want a tree. So we're really excited that we have been able this year to basically expand our tree nurseries, and now we're happy to report that we can grow way over 2,000 trees combined in those 2 tree nurseries. And we have given away over 2,500 trees in the last 2 years from the tree nursery. But we are looking forward to a lot of tree giveaways this fall. One of them, our signature tree giveaway event in the Hilltop, will be in partnership with GreenSpot with you under the umbrella of Sustainable Steps in Columbus. We're really, really excited about this. It's going to be on October 23rd. But what we have been doing, and I've never ran a tree nursery, I have business background, is that we try out things, right? So we first started with, can we give away trees, right? So we got some grants from the Arbor Day Foundation Alliance for Community Trees back in 2017, 2018, and we dabbled and gave away about 250 trees. And after we were successful with that, we had a contact through the city of Columbus with American Forests, and they were interested in creating 2 tree nurseries in the city of Columbus, in addition to the one they had worked with Flow on in Wyland Park. So we don't want to jump in, head first, but, like get our feet wet a little bit first, and then jump in head first to make sure that, the water is safe and it's actually water and not something else. So while we try to do pilot new things, like the tree nurseries, which have become some of the highest productive tree nurseries, they're in community settings. I mean, they're in neighborhoods, on vacant lots in all the country. We really need the partners. We really need their expertise. We really need the community to come together and help us put those tree nurseries together. So this year we had some volunteer tree plantings around Earth Day. They were really, really successful. And, Dave, you were there as well for the Linden one. And we had, like within 3 hours, a group of 30 to 40 people can really make a difference and plant over 1,250 trees in a morning. And so we can't wait to give them away here in the next 2 months, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, for folks who are looking for volunteer opportunities, it really is pretty cool. Meeting people that, you share the interest of trees and helping the environment and helping people out. And you don't just do one thing for the hour, few hours that you're there. I did a little bit of shoveling mulch, did a little bit of carrying things from one side to another, did a little bit of, I think, tying the seedling, or not the seedling, but the drawing a blank on what the size that you all usually give out. You about 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall.
So, but we start out as seedlings, right? So when you tie those,
Mhm.
they were still considered seedlings. So you're correct there.
Gotcha. So yeah, tying those. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. And if I recall, we had people that were in their 60s that were there, and we had, I think, one kid there was like in the single digits, and he had a little cup, and his dad was helping him get some of the mulch and put it in the tree container. It was really cool. It was really a family fun event that you hold with those tree giveaways. And folks, you heard it here first. Sustainable Steps, GreenSpot, and Green Columbus teaming up to do a tree giveaway October 23rd. We'll have more details. Follow us on social media for that, where you can sign up to either get a free tree or maybe volunteer. And the other thing too, with one of the benefits of trees is that, obviously there's tremendous wildlife benefits. We've seen our wildlife impacted, ecological habitats impacted, and a tree is a really easy thing that people could plant, and you see those benefits almost right away. And then after maybe 10 years, depending where you plant that tree, if it's in the right location, it could actually shade some of your house from the summer sun, the heat of the summer sun. So you're actually saving on electricity bills because you're not having to run the air conditioning as much. You're not having to run the fan as much. So trees really are that magical thing that have dozens of benefits when you really look at it, both for like the environment side of things, but also the people side of things with that. So I mean, it's really cool. Now, moving on for a second from trees, I know you all also do litter cleanups. I think you're famous for litter cleanups and the amount of litter that you all clean up and the partners you have with that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you keep track of how many, either how many litter cleanups you've had or how much trash that you all have taken off the streets?
Yeah. So Earth Day Columbus, usually, as I said, we bring together and have a total of about 100 to 200 combined events. The majority of those are actually cleanup events. They're really accessible, they're fast, and thanks to the partnership with Keep Columbus Beautiful, we're able to provide and have in rotation about 800 to 850 litter grabbers at all time, and we actually turn them over every 3 days. So that's the nice part. And then we have great partners like American Rivers that donate bags. And we work with Refuse, who's been a great partner to actually pick up the litter bag. So we usually have every year between 50 and 80 cleanups on Earth Day. And then 3 years ago, in partnership with COSI, or it's actually 2 years ago, but this will be our third one this year. In partnership with COSI, we started the Scioto Sweep. And the Scioto Sweep is our fall signature event. We're going to be at the Scioto River. And we have between 8 and 10 locations along the river. We have great partners from the Ohio chapter of the Nature Conservancy, 2 groups at COSI, but also businesses. Flow is a partner. And then we have great individuals that have been doing river cleanups for many years. And so it's astounding to see the amount of trash that gets picked up. 2 years ago, we actually had the river cleanup with Flow as our partner there at the confluence. And there were groups from Accenture and individuals there, and they pulled out so much trash out of the confluence there that they had filled up basically all the provided 300-gallon containers. I think the city provided 10 of them by 10 o'clock. And so they were starting to pile up around them. And we actually got a little bit worried because at the boathouse, and back then there were events on Saturdays. So luckily, Refuse cleaned it up really fast and boathouse folks weren't upset. But it's really, really amazing what, even like a group of 30 or 40 people can pull out in a morning. So I don't have any, bag fags, unfortunately, with me here, but it's each individual cleanup makes a difference and prevents that trash to actually go into the ocean, right? So that's usually the end. People don't see it, but the storm drains that you have in Columbus, they're not filtered. They go straight into the rivers, and from the rivers, then they go, through meandering different river system or watershed systems into the ocean. So there's that connection right there. And we did a, video with Bill Dawson this year to show the effect on wildlife here locally. There's a blue heron called Frank who now has a twisted and permanently twisted front leg or leg, and he had that because of fishing line, right? So plastic trash along our rivers, in our watersheds is a problem for local wildlife as well. It's not only the sea turtles. So we're really, really happy that we have so many people that usually come together during these events and make a real difference.
And it's also, I mean, obviously it's a hazard for wildlife. It's a hazard for people too. Like if you're driving down the highway and you see that plastic bag just floating around, targeting a car, you try to avoid that because you don't want that to get sucked up into the fan or get up into the engine, melt on there, or all sorts of things, or come up on the windshield. I mean, it's cleaning up litter is good for public health, it's good for safety, and it's good for wildlife as well. And so it seems like you all have a number of things going on this fall. You have the litter cleanup, the Scioto River cleanup, you have the tree giveaways, and I think you mentioned one other thing you have going on. And we're almost at fall right now.
Yes. So we actually, this Saturday, kind of our summer event, we're building our first rain garden. So if someone wants to build a rain garden with us, it's this Saturday at 9:30 at the Linden Tree Nursery on East 17th Avenue. It's going to be our first rain garden. So we're going to learn while we do it. And we actually got a donation from USDA Forest Service for some shrubs. And so we're going to use some of those shrubs in our nursery. At a tree nursery at our rain garden, but then other people can can take home some of those shrubs, and then we're actually partnering with Franklin Soil and Water and other groups and see if we can give away some rain garden kits and some shrubs also in addition to the trees that we give away this fall. The other thing that we're, right now are doing is we're, coming out with our updated website earlier. Hopefully by the time that we start the SOTA Sweep will get a new website as well. And we are, like finalizing that. Hopefully that can come out here in the next 2 weeks so people can start signing up for the SOTA Sweep. And then in addition to that, for the tree giveaway, we're planning an online tool, Right Tree, Right Place, where people, like in an online quiz, cannot find out what type of tree they are, but actually what kind of tree that we offer for giveaway would fit best in their backyard or in front of their house. In addition to that, we're also getting ready for Earth Day 22 next year. It's going to be a 15th anniversary. And we'll be upping our game when it comes to social media. We have relied really heavily on Facebook, but we feel like in order, if we want to engage the audience, that Instagram is a great tool to reach, especially a younger audience that is really eager to come out and help and volunteer. So we're really focusing on that, adding content for next year for our 15th anniversary, and then try to streamline our volunteer management with our tool Gift Pulse. They're currently in overhaul, so they have a new kind of website for that. It will look a little bit different, and we try to find new ways to actually integrate all our partners in that and really have a seamless experience for people signing up and inviting others to join them.
That's great. And, I was on a social media workshop yesterday, and they mentioned Instagram, and I was like, oh, I gotta create a GreenSpot Instagram account. And also TikTok is the other big one. So you might want to look into that one too. And then you'd mentioned this Saturday, which I believe is August 7th, is the rain garden, building the rain garden. For folks who are interested in that.
We're really excited to work with 2 student groups that we have been working with a lot. So OSU is producing a lot of really eco-minded students and have them there. And then within a lot of their courses and their groups, there's many groups. So the one group I want to highlight is SER, is the Society for Ecological Restoration, and they have been planting trees with Flow. And we've been donating trees to them now for more than half a decade. And in addition to that, they're also helping us at the tree nursery. They came out for all the volunteer events, and they're really excited to help us. In addition, as well as the Engineers Without Borders, who actually donated a lot of their time last year to help us expand the tree nurseries to double the capacity. And so we're really glad that we have like really engaging students that are also competent in what they're doing, know what they're doing, have that ecological background, but also that volunteer spirit. So that's always great to have a lot of the young folks stepping up and impressing us and teaching me and others a lesson as well about how to go about certain things.
Absolutely. It is heartening to see the number of young people that are getting interested, and not only interested, but making real change in the environmental field. And groups like yours, like Green Columbus, give them an outlet to explore and to, be that change. At GreenSpot, our logo, inspire, educate, recognize. And I feel like that could also apply to Green Columbus too, that you all definitely inspire people, you educate people, and you recognize people. You had mentioned, a couple of times you had mentioned Flow, just so folks know that's the Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed. Of course, everybody knows who Flow is. We had them on one of our GreenSpot conversations a couple weeks ago. But one thing I want to touch on real quick is, if you know off the top of your head, not to put you on the spot, but I will, the number of volunteer hours that you all have tracked over the years, because I feel like that number is just astronomical.
So it's well north of 150,000 hours. And every year, depending on the sites, depending on the weather, what we have seen is that roughly on Earth Day, everyone donates between 2.8 and 3 hours on average for a service site. And we usually have between 5,000 and 6,500 volunteers every year. So every year we're about like adding another 22,000 hours there, no, 20,000 hours there. And so we actually, over the last 14 years, have been able to are now well north of 150,000 hours. So it's truly astounding and humbling to see what so many people can do and make a difference, in 10 days or like 2 weeks in spring. And then in addition, we add the volunteers that help us throughout the year of the tree nursery, the Fall River cleanups, which we had about 300 people participate on a single morning. And so, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see everyone, chime in and donate their time. We all know that time is for a lot of people even more, valuable than money. And so we couldn't be happier with the turnout at our, volunteer events and the partners that bring those volunteers to the events as well.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. And with the volunteers too, I feel like a lot of times you give them that opportunity, but then they not only take that opportunity, but then they develop new habits, right? So it's like maybe they participate in a litter pickup. And maybe it's their first time using, I don't know what they're called, but the litter grabbers, right? The long arms. And the first time I used one of those, which was years ago now, I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like, I don't have to bend over. I could pick up so much trash with this thing, right? Whereas before I'm sitting there like, bending over and hurting my back and all sorts of things. And, at that point I was like, I'm going to buy one of these. So I bought one, and now I pick up trash. I live by a park. So maybe about once a week, sometimes twice a week, I'll go out there and just pick up the trash. So it's things like that. I feel like volunteers that you all have, that they, even though they're not telling you they're doing that, right? They're just doing it, and so whatever those volunteer hours you have, it seems like you could really double that or triple that in terms of year-long environmental activities that are happening. So,
Well, for us, what's really important is that actually the volunteer groups that host the events, the friends of the parks, of the different parks, the other events, for them, it's oftentimes either the first or the second event in the year in April. And so it brings in a lot of new people. And then because they basically host their own events within the Earth Day Columbus setting, is that they get these volunteers as repetitive customers, right? So as repeating customers. So they're really excited. And the overall rating, so we do if you sign up through the tool that we have, GivePulse, and then you're asked afterwards to provide feedback. And the feedback for Earth Day for all the events on average is 4.8 out of 5. So people are really, really happy with the event. People are really excited. They see that they can make an impact. And so for us, it's not so much our volunteer hours, but the community that actually has that opportunity to engage on that day with maybe, like new volunteers in combination with veteran volunteers. So, that is what we've heard, especially from the community gardens, but also from the Friends of the Parks and others, that through Earth Day, it allows them to every year to engage with new people and, have them then come back for future events.
that's also like with the Give Pulse thing, you all are kind of like a clearinghouse for a business that is looking to be a host site or to engage their employees. I know, like when I like last year, or maybe it was the year before, I went on there. I was like, okay, I have a free weekend. It was in April, surprisingly, and I was like, what's going on in my neighborhood? And I went to the map that was on GivePulse that you all have, and I found a cleanup. And it's like, if that cleanup wasn't on that platform that you all use, I would have never known. They wouldn't have gotten a volunteer. So it is kind of a shout out to businesses and organizations that if you do a cleanup, you really do want to engage Green Columbus, because not only are you being part of something larger than just your organization, but your employees or your members really have this breadth of volunteer opportunities that they might not have known. And likewise, like you said, people like me who will go on there and be like, I want to volunteer for something, but let's see what's going on. And then I see that list and it's easy to choose from. Whereas that organization's not on that that list, they're going to miss out. So,
And every year we have an awesome service side coordinator, and we've been really, really lucky that we always seem to have like a really fantastic person that really pushes the envelope and also provides that personal touch, whether it's a corporation or whether it's an individual or like an organization that has a question about it, that has some question about the tools that we're using, or about when to show up to pick up tools and supplies that keep Columbus beautiful. So it's not just a website and a digital platform, it's that personal touch that that service side coordinator provides, that I think really makes a difference, makes it really a smooth and hopefully just overall really positive experience for everyone to participate.
yeah, that's awesome. So we're just about out of time, but I wanted to ask you, do you have any final words of wisdom for our viewers?
So if people want to get involved, they can email me directly at Claus, that's CLAUS at GreenSpot, or the color, and then CBUS is short for Columbus.org. They can also email us at contact@greencbus.org. We have a great dedicated board that is expanding with Mario. We have a new board president this year. And if someone wants to get involved, not just at an individual volunteer event, but maybe wants to do a little bit more, they can reach out to me or to contact@greencbus.org. And then we can see whether or not that person would be a great fit for any number of committees that we have in the winter and spring for stay. And then, people can become board members that way, really easy, getting to know the current board members and see whether or not they like the setting, and they're all fantastic people. It's a little bit of a younger board, it's a working board, so they donate a lot of their volunteer time and volunteer hours to make Green Columbus a really successful organization. And so I couldn't be happier to partner with them. And then I said, we have other great partners, such as the folks at SWACO, but also on the city level, the county level, the state level, with Ohio's Pollinator Habitat Initiative, with Ohio Native Plant Month. So the word of the wisdom is you can be part of something, and then just, you can contribute as long as you're within the legal boundaries. Make sure you have all your permits in place with the city. Like the sky's the limit, and we want to make sure that everyone and anyone who wants to either plant a tree or participate in a volunteer event or host an event themselves can do so with no barriers of entry.
Great. Well, Claus, it's been wonderful talking with you as always. Claus Eckert with Green Columbus. If you're not familiar with them, you haven't been listening to what we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes. So, Claus, I hope you have a good rest of the day, and thanks for talking with us.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks for letting us be part of it. Thanks for actually partnering with us for the 10th anniversary 3 years ago for GreenSpot. So we have become like you're one of our, if not the favorite city person, and we really love working with you. We cannot recommend the GreenSpot membership more highly. So if the folks that are listening are not GreenSpot members, please do so. And looking forward to working with you and many others in the fall, and hope to see you at one of our cleanup events or a tree giveaway.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Claus. And thanks for
Thanks.
watching, everybody. And check out Green Columbus, check out GreenSpot, and get outside.
All right, thanks.